Let's talk about the tech this week. This is a new series where I go over everything that's happened in the last couple days in TFT. I might make more videos per week if there's a lot going on, like the start of a new patch or a new set. But essentially, I feel like a lot of players aren't up to date with a lot of the high elo information, or like if you have a job like a real person and you don't have time to watch streams or play TFT or have a study group, there's a lot of information that is obvious to me and a lot of other players that you know actual human beings miss who aren't playing TFT full time. So I kind of want to make this video where I try to keep people up to date. I don't know what I'll call it. Maybe we'll figure out later. But let's get right into it. So the first tech I want to talk about is like this new comp that's floating around. I first saw this in Paris. I didn't really understand it that much, but I think I recently saw another challenger player posting it. So I kind of want to like study it a little bit, and I talked to some people, reached out, and this is what they're playing. It is a Warwick comp, which is kind of refreshing to see in the meta. Right now, the meta is kind of stale in my opinion. A lot of you can do a lot of fun stuff right now. I just haven't really explored much, but it's like your Diana, which is insane. Your Void, and then you're like Annie, Azir, some reroll, Bilgewater. This is the AD flex board, and it's basically just all of this. If you have Yunara, you play towards Rise. Everything else is kind of mid, right? Even Draven's been falling off. I didn't really think this comp was that good in the first place. I think it's only good if you have some like a really early Draven, like if you're in a really good condition, really good spot for it. Yeah, so the first one is this board. So I think there's a lot of flex ways to play it, but essentially you want to get to this spot where you're playing level 9 with Ziggs. This is your core of the board for the failure variation, and essentially you're either going to go fast 9, like roll a bit, get Warwick and Vi because Vi 2 unlocks Warwick and you get a free forecast, and then you either go fast 9 for Ziggs, and then you just play two other units. You can just straight up do a Teemo here. If you hold it and you get your Yordle and your long shot. This also unlocks 1, 2, 3, 4 Rise. So Rise is a very high capo, so you can just play Rise as your level 9, but you also you have a bunch of other slots, right? So Kindred's an obvious one that you want to play, and then you can just throw in like Fiddle, Shyvana, or Lucian, your usual suspects. Your items are going to be Titans, BT, Sterix. What's important is to get healing and Titans, so or CC immunity. So it can be QSS, but Titans, BT, Sterix are by far the best items and stats. Not too many stats right now because Warwick is actually like very underplayed. The only other comp that people played him in was the MF comp, and I looked at the stats for that, and there's nobody playing that comp, and it's just not very good. But this one seems to be doing pretty well now. That's a failure variation. This is, let me refresh this page, it's a bit bugged out. This is a more of a board where you're rolling on 8-4. So your core is essentially your Warwick plus Vi, right? Because you have to play Vi. You need to find a 2-star to unlock Warwick. You also have to field a Jinx once, so don't forget that. But most times you're not even playing this Jinx, just because there's no synergies. This is like Yunara board where you have to you can't like rush for a 5 cost. You basically want to play Lors if there is a good Piltover. So the good Piltover is going to be Blast Shields or Continuum Cogs. If it isn't one of those, usually I like to take it out like late game. But the line looks something like this. So the board is like this at level 8, and then you can just play Ziggs if you hit it. Well, you need to be level 9 to find Ziggs. The unlock condition is basically 3 item Yordle or Zonite, and then be level 9. So this is your level 9 board plus 1. You can play Volibear over Mundo, because Mundo is a very bad unit. But if you don't unlock Volibear, nothing too much will change. Your same thing again. This is like pretty much your level 7 comp. So you're just gonna play a plus 1 unit here. It can be set. It's pretty easy to unlock. It doesn't really matter if you're playing 4 Ionia. Set's not a really unit that really cares about having Ionia anyways. And obviously make sure you're playing this with a good Ionia. So something combat orientated or the gold one. Even the XP one's fine. Most of them should be fine. I just don't like the reroll one. It's just, I feel like a lot of combat power. A lot of its power is dedicated to the fact that you have to reroll them. There's another variation that I like to play more for this one. The idea is to build any like Warwick comp. The idea is like, what defender do I play around with Vi, right? Because you need to play around this Vi. And then if you click this, if you click defenders, right, it's really just going to be like Kennen and get Ionian, or it's going to be Garen or Sejuani, right? Like there's no reason to ever play Darius or Nico. You don't really need Arcanist, and that's kind of the whole point of Nico. So in this one, you play Demacia. It's just really easy to fit. You just get Xin, Garen, Vayne, and then this is kind of like your level 8. Let me refresh it so we get the other things. So yeah. Again, if the Piltover is good, you can just play like this. You don't need to fit in this Vayne until you get Longshot. It can be literally any Demacia unit. I don't even think you really need Demacia for Garen. It is some stats, but he does get mana lock, so the mana isn't as important. I would just play this. I just like getting it because you have plays Ins out anyways, and you have like one off each. So this would be your ideal level 9. But if you feel like you don't need like Demacia, I only play this Vayne because it gives you the thing and the Ziggs, like Longshot and the Demacia. Like if it was just Demacia, I wouldn't play it. You can just play Rise, right? I think both boards can unlock Rise. And yeah, this is just another way to unlock it on like level 10 or level 9. I say level 10 because like this said, it's pretty realistic to actually go level 10 if you're win streaking. So a lot of these high cap boards for all of these is just going to be Rise. It will be a bit tricky to find items for Rise and Ziggs though, because I think Ziggs kind of wants 3 items as well. Like for Ziggs, I think you just want double mana, right? Like a lot of units is set, it just has a very high mana pool, and you don't really have to worry about like one-shotting everything with Ziggs because he's never gonna one-shot anything either way, right? At least not the important units with items on it. So you just want to give him like 2 mana, so he just does cast a lot, and a Warwick Yunara can clean up. The one reason I don't like these Ionia versions is because you kind of have to play Yunara, and she's contested anyways. So I'd much rather you just play like a Ashe and get straight to Kindred, or just basically get to Kindred, or use Yunara and like pivot off her. The advantages of the comp is really just, hey, I built bruiser items, BT Sterix, and I can't find Shyvana, like I can't go 9, and I'm not gonna play Slayers because Slayers kind of suck right now. I think last I checked it wasn't even an A tier. I think it was like all the way B tier. Yeah, this is the comp right now. It's got a 7% win rate. It's just not very good. It's mostly because Aatrox kind of sucks right now. Yeah, so you play Warwick, and then like Yunara, you get Warwick too. And then if you hit Yunara, you do. If you don't, you just have a 1-star. You go 9, it should stabilize you, and then you just drop it for like Kindred right away. Like for example, if I did this board, probably just did it on the spot. Like you would just find Kindred. I'd probably get Rise. Okay, and this board, like, it's like you kind of need the Wukong too, which is contested. So the more I think about it, like I kind of like this board a lot better because Garen is not contested at all, right? You're only playing it if you're playing 7 Demacia, and I don't think 7 Demacia is that. It's a fine comp, but no one really wants to be playing AP because you have to build AP items, and then you're stuck on this line, right? So you're either fast 9, or you're playing this line, which doesn't cap as high as the AD comps. So yeah, I would play around this. If I hit Yunara, I literally just drop you for like a Kindred, and I think it would totally be fine. You drop Ionia, and it's just like you don't need to play any of these guys then. And then you just have all these free slots to play, right? If you want to get Longshot in, you can get Yordle, right? And then you have Zon, Piltover, Yordle still for Rise at 8. And then you would just fit in like 1 Targon. So Rise plus Targon here, Taric, and that's just your board. You can also eventually drop out of Garen, I imagine. Actually, I kind of like Garen as a 2-star because if without it, you don't have a tank. The second tech is sort of a PSA. Basically, do not play Yunara without IE. I kind of want to take some time to explain like stats a bit, but right now something happened in the C patch where inadvertently somehow Yunara I think gained 15 to 20% crit on as a crit rate. Sorry, this is speculative. So this is from Beta TFT, a very trusted source, and they say that from their testing, it feels like um, she's doing like a certain amount of damage, more damage than intended. So essentially, if a unit has 20 more percent crit than usual, that's 45% crit on as base, 25 plus 20. That you must play IE on her, right? Because obviously she's getting much more value from that. And I want you guys to take a look at the delta. So if you guys don't know, delta is basically like in TFT terms, or I mean in all math terms, it's like the difference between two numbers, right? So it's it's basically saying if you have Infinity Edge on Yunara, you're basically doing 0.44 placements better. That's half a placement, which is insane because Infinity Edge is a core item on a unit. And what I mean by a core item is like you cannot play this unit without it, right? What? Okay, taking like what's a unit with like Kai'Sa, right? AP Kai'Sa, that Rage Blade is a core item on her. You cannot play Kai'Sa without a Rage Blade if you're playing like AP. So usually, I mean, I can just do it right now. Let's go to Explore. I think this is really important for a lot of players to know in terms of stats, because like I get this question a lot, and it just confuses a lot of people, right? So if I do Kai'Sa with 3 items here, and I look at like items, you'll actually see that let's go regular items with a min count of like 200, 250. Like people look at this and are like, "Yo, this Rage Blade item does not feel very good. Like doesn't look very good. It only has a delta of 0.04. It means that when I have Rage Blade on Kai'Sa, my placement goes up by 0.04. So like, but you have to look at the play rate, right? It's got like a near 100% play rate, because if you have a Kai'Sa, you have Rage Blade, so the delta can't be high, right? The delta is very similar to what the actual placement, like let's say Kai'Sa by herself is going to average a 3.94, right? So 3.94. So all these other items are just like late game bias and stuff. Like you just happen to have like Edge of Night late game is like it's what you take off carousel. You're probably just itemizing this Bear and Asher. So if anything, like a lot of times the delta for these items are slightly positive. So it actually gets worse when you put the item on. And that's not because the item is bad. It's because there's usually a better version of that item. For instance, for Rage Blade carries, almost always the Radiant Rage Blade does far better in the stats, right? I don't think, like in this case, it's actually positive. So that's either because the item is understated, because they made a whole Radiant rework recently to all the items. So they made the items always equal the power of 2 of them. So it just could be like an example of Radiant Rage Blade just being bad in the stats, right? It's pretty fine. Actually, you can't really tell much with these stats. But for it, so I kind of wanted to use that to explain just how insane that 0.4 delta is, right? They say themselves here like it is literally like it's kind of impossible, right? That a core item that you have to build on Yunara anyways is making the unit perform half a placement higher. Like half a placement is insane. A 0.1 would be insane. Would be good, right? For a core item. You can see like but yeah, I mean the filter is only Yunara 2 level 3. So the Rage Blade and like Krakens actually and IE actually performed worse on Yunara pre C patch, right? Because C patch is when they nerfed 2 things, or 2 things changed. One, the crit change happened by accident, and 2, Darkened Bow was nerfed. And Darkened Bow was the better build on Yunara. I actually think it's doing a lot worse right now. Let's get rid of this guy. 2 item, 3-star. It should still be doing fine because Darkened Bow is a good item, right? So wait, it's doing a lot worse. So Darkened Bow was the best build by far on Yunara. And the thing about Darkened Bow is that you don't want IE on her. If you have a Darkened Bow, the way you build Yunara changes, right? You just want pure attack speed. So I would just do Gwinsu's Kraken's Darkened Bow, or Gwinsu's Darkened Bow, Kraken Darken's Bow, Gwinsu's Last Whisper, something. You don't need IE because you start the Darkened that build is basically trying to proc Darkened Bow as many times as possible, right? So every 10 attacks you fire an arrow. that's just like one shot something. So you want to basically auto as many times as possible. And that arrow that darkened bow fires does not crit. Like it cannot crit because of IE. So therefore any build with IE in it meant you weren't playing darkened bow. Therefore that board would do way worse. So even though IE was a core item on Yunara, it looked really bad in the stats. But right now you can see that it has I think it got even better at 0.45. And I still, like, I think most, like, every challenger knows this, every GM player knows this, but there's so many players through no fault of their own that do not know about this. So you cannot play IE, you cannot play Yunara with IE. Like, you are just playing, you're losing half a placement every time, right? This post has like 300 impressions or 300 likes. So if you don't, like, if you're not on Twitter, I don't think I've seen anyone make a video about this. And if you're not on Tiffy Twitter, like, how are you getting like this information, right? That's kind of like the whole idea behind this video. Okay, final tech. This one's a bit old. All these are like 1 or 2 days old, except for that Warwick one. I think that's relatively new, unless you've been playing it on PBE. Please don't like leave those comments, or like if you can, like don't leave like this is neat. This tech is new. I've been playing this since PBE. It's like, okay, like thanks bro, like thanks for your comment. I'm just trying to help everyone who doesn't know. Like even if there's like 10% of players who don't know and everyone else knows, like I'm still gonna make a video to help players. That's the whole point. I'm okay with like you saying like, hey man, like, oh, I played this comp before, it's sick. But if you're gonna be like, oh, people don't know this shit, like this comp, like I've been playing since like day one, and then you're like hard stuck like silver. It's like what's like that's like the worst kind of comment, right? It's like great, you have the tech, you still can't climb. Anyways, this is a little tangent I went on there, but this is a guy who's been climbing in VN. And a little advisory warning for any tech you get from other regions. I feel like I always put a bit of salt on it because I don't know how good that region is. So like NA, like EUW, and like some other regions. Usually I don't know. I trust the tech for the most part, but it's not because like I think the region is bad. I genuinely do not know what the landscape is. Right. It's also not about the region being bad or good or whatever. It's like some metas just thrive better in different regions, right? For instance, I think I was talking to Beppo and he said like be careful with KR tech because in KR the way they play is very different in Korea. Where just like hard forcing one comp over and over again is very good there. I don't really know how that works, but if you go on like the meta TFT, if you're paying for it, one tricks tab, you can see that like KR. I didn't have to check. Like it's all KR, right? It's because like that type of playstyle is just I think very rewarding there, where just they force one comp over and over again, and a lot of times like the comp is not even good. It's like some weird comp that's just forcing, right? And it just works there apparently. So I don't know how VN is, but if you look at this guy, he's just been playing a couple of days back. Maybe got too popular for him to keep playing, but it's just this AD flex comp over and over again, right? You start seeing it here, and he's doing very well with it, right? Second, 6, 4, second, 1, third, 7th, second. I'll load more, but he's like insane amount within a very high play rate, which is like really hard to do if you're playing the same comp, right? It's not just that this comp. It's not like, hey, I found a good spot for this board. Let's play it. You would see like a couple, once or just speckled across the leaderboard, or the match history. But he's like playing it like over and over again and getting repeated success with it. Again, I don't know how the region is, so I don't know. I've seen a lot of players trying to replicate it on NA and failing, so keep that in mind. But essentially, the idea behind this comp, see if I can just pull it up on a team builder, is that you're using Draven and Bilgewater shops to basically farm econ. So it's mainly like a win streak comp where you're playing basically the Draven reroll board for a long time. I've played a couple times. I've done pretty well with it. But like it's only when I have like a free Draven 2 for the most part, or I'm in a spot where I can roll for a Draven 2. So I think the most important part of this thing to remember is that is that the fact that Skarner exists. And we'll get into that in a sec. So I think it's like GP. That's your bilge water, and then you're just playing this dude. That's pretty much your board on 6-7, level 6 or 7. I actually did not mean to do that on purpose. Sorry. Level 6 or 7, and then you're just playing like a defender or something, right? But if I have enough econ, like I take a Praise econ augment, or I'm just really ahead of the lobby, 100 HP streaking, or it's just like Scuttle Puddle, then I just like to play the Feathered variation where I just do Ash and like I drop the bilge water because I don't need the extra. It's about like 1 point. It's like 1 gold per turn, I'd say. Just about like 0.7 gold per turn from is what bilge water farms you. But like I'd rather just streak because that gives you more gold, like win fights. Um, so like if even if I'm mixed streaking, winning a fight gives you 1 gold, right? So I'd rather just save HP and the gold by playing the fairly variation. It does require you to find like a Braum because like Warden fits in really nicely here. Or you can just play like put items on Ash 2 for like 1 turn on like PvE and just get a Slayer, which also works. It's just Draven basically. You kind of you want to roll aggressively for Draven, and then the other part of the tech is again I talked about this earlier, but Skarner, like he exists. I think Skarner is so much better than Taric right now, because if you look around, like no one is playing AP, right? Annie's like kind of dead in the meta. Um, yeah, so like there's like I scout around every fight, and there's just like one player playing AP max, and it's just some random ass Veigar player, or some guy who made it to Fast 9. So Skarner is like his thing is armor, and I think it's so much better. And I think he's a much better tank overall. Not much better, but he's a very very good tank, and I would definitely put my items on him, and it's definitely what he's doing. Cool, this guy, yeah, yeah. It's just most times it's this is he plays swing on this board. I guess wait, this is he has okay. He started figuring out Skarner here, I think, or he just didn't have gargoyles. That's the thing. You have to unlock him, and gargoyles is fine to make, but you have to like unlock it pretty early, right? So cloak is pretty important in this comp. I think cloak in general is pretty important in this set. Makes a lot of really good items. Even Shroud, Krakens, his core, gargoyles. Just having those 3 items, it's pretty important. Yeah. So it's just like all items on Skarner every time, and I do agree. Skarner is a very good unit. The one thing I like Targon, or I like Taric better for, is that it activates Targon, which gives you access to Rise. But I mean, this is the board basically. He just plays the exact same units every time. Uh, I don't really see a need for Mbessa. I guess it's for Fiddle. Like Vanquisher does not matter, and it gives you free for Noxus, I guess. But this is the board. You itemize either Kindred or Lucian as your AD. A lot of times he doesn't get to Silas, so which is like understandable, but I don't think he's the make or break of this comp. You have items for Skarner, Kindred, and then maybe some for your 2-star 5 cost. And then, if you have more, if you make it that far, you can itemize a Silas too. So I don't think you need to unlock Silas. Like, there's like 5 games here where he doesn't. But there's like 10 more games where he doesn't. But yeah. So that's basically the weekly roundup, I guess, or the 3-day roundup. If I get more tech and I get enough of it, I will try to update everyone again. Usually I try to post everything I find on my Twitter, so you can keep a lookout for there. But I do want to like dive deeper into things sometimes. But let me know what you think of this series. If something that you would enjoy and benefit off from. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.